Dave Ramsey provides excellent financial advice to the general public. Through his finance courses, books, radio show, and YouTube channel, he has helped an astounding number of people acquire financial footing. He encourages people to pay off all debts, cancel credit cards, and save for the future. These principles appear to be common sense, providing strong foundations for getting ahead. However, when examining the possibility of investing with leverage, perhaps avoiding all debt is an overly conservative stance. Dave Ramsey advises people on how to invest their money for retirement. Specifically, do you want to invest in equities, bonds, mutual funds, or real estate? What if your company's stock is discounted? Should you simply take advantage of the discount and devote all of your savings to it? He has previously stated that a 12% average return is appropriate. So what should people invest in to ensure that their investments are profitable? Let's look at what Ramsey suggests for a retirement portfolio. Despite their normally high expense ratios, mutual funds are particularly recommended by Dave Ramsey, and some of them charge a commission when you purchase and sell. His investment method is to look at which mutual funds have historically outperformed the market. This means only investing in funds with a minimum 10-year track record of performance. Although he would not purchase an S&P 500 index fund, mirroring the market is not a concern. However, Dave prefers to buy investments that outperform the market. If mutual funds aren't going to outperform, you might as well invest in an index fund, which monitors the market and is less expensive to purchase. In recent years, high-fee mutual funds have lost favor in favor of lower-cost alternatives with low expense ratios. Dave Ramsey would rather pay more for a fund that he believes will outperform the market. On the surface, that appears to be a terrific concept, but when the fees are considered, it may not be as profitable as it appears. The expense ratio is charged on the whole value of your portfolio, which can eat away at your returns, especially as it is levied whether your investments lose or gain value. So what kinds of mutual funds does Dave suggest? To begin, he proposes utilizing affiliates to assist with financial guidance, although he prefers that investors distribute their money across 4 main categories. He recommends dividing your portfolio evenly among 4 funds: growth and income, growth, aggressive growth, and international. These funds have a track record of consistent growth while simultaneously paying dividends, giving investors the best of both worlds. Large and stable corporations such as Home Depot, Apple, Microsoft, and Johnson & Johnson are examples of these types of stocks. Growth funds invest in medium to large U.S. companies that are still showing signs of growth. This type of fund is likely to rise and fall with the economy, but will still provide some of the stability associated with larger corporations. Google, Tesla, MasterCard, and Nvidia are examples of growth stocks. Despite being riskier than a growth and income fund, they are quite steady due to the nature of medium and big enterprises. Aggressive growth funds are the portfolio's wild card, posing the greatest risk. When they're performing well, the returns can be spectacular. Nevertheless, if the economy suffers, they'll underperform other investments in the long run. There are several aggressive growth funds. However, they all own several technology businesses, comparable to a conventional growth fund. While the majority of your portfolio will consist of U.S. stocks, a worldwide fund will allow you to buy large worldwide corporations, such as Nestle, Samsung, and Toyota. These are fantastic since they boost your diversity and are not tied to the United States, lowering the possibility of massive losses if the U.S. economy falls. Dave has termed the decision to purchase a single stock stupid on the show, so it's clear that he doesn't endorse it. Despite his estimated net worth of $55 million, he holds no individual stocks because they are too risky. Employees sometimes utilize a large portion of their retirement contributions to acquire stock in the firms for which they work because it is offered at a discount, usually 15%. In certain situations, employees will invest their entire retirement fund in their company's shares, which can add up to a substantial sum over time. If you are not properly diversified, this can be highly harmful. He does state unequivocally that owning single equities is acceptable, but only up to 10% of your portfolio. Never put your money into something you don't understand. Because you are in charge of your finances, you need to know the specifics of your accounts and their holdings. It's critical to understand how much you're paying in fees and how they'll affect your portfolio over time. Don't allow an advisor to sell you something that makes no sense. Do your homework so you know exactly what you're getting. Don't just chase after returns. Before you buy a fund, analyze the overall picture and how it has performed over time. To get a good sense, go back 5, 10, or 20 years. Look for mutual funds that consistently outperform their peers. Don't be surprised if some of your holdings outperform other funds you own at times. Sometimes aggressive growth funds outperform growth and income funds. Other times, growth and income funds outperform aggressive growth funds. Choose high-quality funds and keep them. Earning consistent profits over time is preferable to attempting to achieve large gains. Leave your investments alone, especially if the market falls. You may be tempted to cash out your 401k or IRA because you are concerned that your portfolio may fall and not recover. However, this is one of the most serious blunders you can make as an investor. Keep your funds untouched until you're ready to retire. Not only will you have to pay taxes on the withdrawals, but you will also have to pay a penalty to the IRS if you are under the minimum withdrawal age. Finally, selling at the incorrect time can result in massive losses that could have been avoided if you had waited a little longer. When investing, you must look long-term and ignore daily and monthly market changes, certain that you will earn in the long run. Dave Ramsey suggests real estate as an investment if you understand it and don't mind taking on the responsibility of being a landlord. However, it must be purchased with cash, never with a loan. Add 3 to 6 months' worth of expenses for vacant property to your emergency fund in case you're between renters or the tenants refuse to pay. Regardless of the improved returns you might experience from using leverage, don't even consider using a loan to purchase property. Paying cash removes debt from the equation, minimizes your risk, and positions you to produce extra cash flow immediately. To summarize Dave's real estate investing recommendations, he recommends paying cash, diversifying, staying local, and starting small. Dave Ramsey does not suggest bonds, which may come as a surprise given his conservative investing philosophies. Instead, invest that money in a growth stock mutual fund, which would generate larger returns. Bonds are less volatile than stocks, but their returns are significantly lower. Bonds are appealing because of their consistent income, which makes budgeting easier. However, mutual funds have a far lower risk-to-return ratio. In other words, bonds are less risky than equities, but not significantly so. However, the rewards are substantially lower than the level of risk would predict. Bond returns barely outstrip inflation, and you want to outperform the market in order to accumulate wealth. People frequently put off learning about investing money until later in life. By then, they've most likely squandered years of potential compound interest, wasted most of their money, and made numerous financial blunders. Instead of making your own money blunders, take some of the most well-known financial gurus' advice from successful people who have been through numerous ups and downs. It can be quite beneficial to individuals attempting to achieve success. Here are 9 money lessons from great millionaires that you may use. Now is the time to live like no one else so that you can live like no one else later. Dave Ramsey, a prominent radio show host, author, and businessman, is well known for this quote: "You can live a great lifestyle in the future by making some sacrifices and making smart financial decisions early in your career." Essentially, when others are frivolously spending money, be thrifty and make wise investments in your 20s, 30s, and 40s. That way, you may start building a nest egg that will start working for you and increase exponentially as your money grows. It will enable you to live your life as no one else. Most financially irresponsible people can't tell you where their money has gone or why they're broke. Being wise with your money first will pay you handsomely. Staying invested is the key to making money. Susie Orman, a financial advisor, motivational speaker, TV and podcast host, and author, has authored a number of well-known personal finance books. According to Orman, for the average person to be a successful investor, they must stay invested for an extended length of time. This includes hanging on during market swings, income loss, and emergencies. When the market falls or your income is temporarily interrupted, don't cash out your retirement accounts. She advises keeping an emergency fund of 8 months' worth of living expenses on hand to cover any unexpected emergencies. In general, 3 to 6 months of costs should be kept in a cash account, although retaining up to a year can be useful to some people. This savings will help you to remain the course if and when additional funds are required in a hurry. Investing is not as complicated as it appears. John Bogle was the founder of Vanguard and the creator of the first index fund, which paved the way for many options for investors. Bogle aimed to give a simple method of investing that did not necessitate purchasing the perfect stock at the appropriate time. Instead, he felt that by purchasing a large number of stocks and dollar cost averaging into them over time, you might generate a lot of money. In 1976, he launched the S&P 500 Index Fund, which allowed investors to purchase shares of the S&P 500 at a low cost. Instead of being flashy with your assets, concentrate on diversification, keeping costs low, and avoiding emotional investing decisions based on stock market swings. Rather than trying to time the market, invest for the long run and keep your money invested. Workers labor just hard enough to avoid being fired, and businesses pay just enough to keep employees from quitting. Robert Kiyosaki, a businessman, author, and investor best known for his book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, has provided a watershed moment for many people's finances because it taught them to look at money in a new light. Kiyosaki understands that business owners do not want to make their staff wealthy. In fact, they typically pay as little as possible. This is not a good partnership for someone who wishes to become wealthy. If you want to become wealthy quickly, you must either be a very high-performing person in a unique position or start your own firm. Working hard can pay off, but you must position yourself correctly to reap the benefits. Determine whether you are currently in a position to achieve your objectives or if you need to reposition yourself. Building a profitable business is the quickest method to make a lot of money. The only way to get to a new location is to leave your current location. Chris Hogan, a personal finance expert and best-selling author of the book Everyday Millionaires, knows what makes people successful since he conducted the largest research ever conducted on millionaires. Many of us wish to retire affluent, but are you doing everything possible to make that a reality? If your current position isn't assisting you in getting there, you need to make some changes rather than daydreaming all day. Once you've identified your dream, devise a strategy for achieving it and begin taking the necessary measures. Make a plan and examine it on a frequent basis to ensure that it is moving you closer to your goals. You're a financial trader, author, financial advisor, and life coach all rolled into one. According to Tony Robbins, if you work for a living, you are exchanging your time for money. According to Robbins, this is the worst deal you can make because you can always get more money but not more time. When you realize that selling time for money is inefficient and unnecessary, you can concentrate on developing mechanisms to capitalize on this principle. The richest people make money while they sleep. Creating sources of passive income will take time at first, but it will pay off in the long run. Would you rather labor to construct passive revenue streams that would eventually pay you to sleep, or would you rather work like the majority of people and never create those systems, leaving you to be locked in the hamster wheel for the rest of your life? Early on, prioritize the creation of these passive income streams. The difference between successful people and others is how much time they spend wallowing in self-pity. Most of us are familiar with Barbara Corcoran from the television show Shark Tank. She understands from experience that when you're on the verge of hitting rock bottom, it's easier to wallow in self-pity rather than taking the necessary steps to improve. We frequently focus on problems and how they affect us without considering how to solve them. Corcoran advises identifying your money difficulties and beginning the process of changing your financial life for the better. This will help you achieve considerably more positive development. Furthermore, bad times are unavoidable, so it's best to devise a strategy for dealing with them efficiently. You can't get rich by sitting around and wondering. You must take action. David Back is best known for his book, The Automatic Millionaire, which teaches people how to become wealthy on their own terms. He's also known for his concept, the Lat Factor, which shows how much money you could end up with if you gave up your daily coffee and instead invested the money. It's not about saving $5. It's about seeing how small amounts of money can add up to significant sums over time. As they wait for their $6 Starbucks coffee, poor people frequently wonder how other individuals manage to accumulate fortune. Even low-income people can accumulate wealth over time by eliminating little pointless expenses. However, it is not enough to simply save money on minor purchases. You must also take action and invest that money. We only get one chance to play this game. Gary Vaynerchuk, a motivational speaker, entrepreneur, investor, author, and blogger, wishes for people to understand that money is simply one aspect of life. It's a vital aspect and a tool that can improve your experience here, but you must examine your entire life. In other words, you don't want to spend your entire life worrying about money. Position yourself such that you can retire early if you so desire, as this will free up your time. You only have one life, so make sure you're focused on making wise selections that will bring you closer to other vital goals. Learning from others is one approach to prevent making mistakes that are entirely avoidable. Consider the following lessons from notable multimillionaires and money experts. Their wisdom could save you years of frustration and help you achieve your goals faster. Dave Ramsey has influenced millions of people, mostly through his radio program, podcast, and YouTube channel. By following his advice, many ordinary people with average incomes have become multimillionaires. Dave Ramsey is well known for his opinions such as debt is dumb, cash is king, and 12% annual investment returns are achievable. Is Ramsey's most popular advice still relevant today, or has it become obsolete? Examine Dave Ramsey's most popular money advice and determine whether it is reasonable for the average person attempting to build wealth. Wait until the end, since some of this advice will be difficult to accept. Instead of racking up credit card debt and falling into the never-ending debt cycle, cut up every single one of your credit cards and never plan on using them again. Don't use them, even if you pay off the balance every single month. Don't use them to gain rewards and cash back. Don't use them to maintain your credit score. Don't even use them for renting a car to spend more money when making purchases on credit. When the bill comes due, you have the option of either paying it off or, if you don't have the money, making small monthly payments over time. But the interest you'll end up paying will be exorbitant, even though credit cards do have some benefits. Ramsey advises against utilizing them at all. Instead, borrow money. In a society where large levels of debt are considered normal, Dave Ramsey suggests avoiding utilizing debt at all except when purchasing a new home. Even if you can buy a car with a 0% interest rate, you should pay cash so that you own the vehicle outright, because borrowing money raises the risk. This mindset stems from Dave Ramsey's past, when he swiftly became wealthy in real estate back in the 1980s while he was in his 20s. He became a millionaire very quickly, making $250,000 per year and controlling over $4 million in real estate, which was a lot considering property prices at the time. But he was highly leveraged, creating a recipe for disaster. According to Dave Ramsey, the total worth of all the vehicles you own should never exceed half of your annual income. The way to avoid splurging on autos and losing all of your money to depreciation is simple. Don't feel obligated to buy a brand new one before you've established yourself financially. Forget about your credit score. This is contrary to the advice to open a credit card as soon as you turn 18 so you can build up your credit. If you have excellent credit, you are more likely to qualify for loans, and your interest rates will be more appealing. But Dave Ramsey claims you don't need a credit score at all when buying a car because you'll be paying cash. When getting a mortgage, you still don't need a credit score because you'll be paying cash. You just need to find a no-credit mortgage lender who uses a process called manual subscribing. Instead of your credit score, manual underwriting considers your payment history on charges such as rent, utility bills, insurance, and other bills. Live like no one else now so that you can eventually live like no one else. In other words, beat frugal, Make wise financial decisions and plan ahead of time so that you will be debt-free and have money set aside to live comfortably in the future. When you decide to live like no one else, you are essentially deciding to put your money to work for you instead of the other way around, becoming a slave to debt and bills. Instead of being broke due to overspending and having no money set aside, a long list of debt obligations, you can put that money in investments that will grow and give income for you to buy and do the things you want to do in the future. Don't shoot the goose. The main notion of retiring on portfolio income is to avoid depleting the value of the investment. A 4% withdrawal rate is widely accepted as a safe withdrawal rate, but Dave Ramsey believes you can withdraw more than that. For example, if your investments average 12% per year, which he believes is reasonable, you can safely withdraw 8% per year. He has also stated on his radio show that if your portfolio earns 10% per year, you can safely withdraw 10% per year. It's important to remember that even if your portfolio remains the same dollar amount each year after withdrawing your retirement income, its value will decrease due to inflation. For example, assuming a 4% inflation rate, the purchasing power of $1 million will be halved every 18 years. Dave Ramsey suggests investing in growth stock mutual funds through a 401k or IRA. Dave Ramsey does not encourage investing in bonds, annuities, CDs, single stocks, or REITs, but rather in cash. Despite the fact that ETFs and index funds that monitor the market are less expensive than traditional mutual funds that are often actively managed, Dave Ramsey does not endorse them. Some claim that the increased charges associated with mutual funds will outweigh any investment outperformance. According to NerdWallet, the average expense ratio for a mutual fund is 0.82% compared to 0.9% for index funds, which corresponds to $8,200 per year versus $900 per year in fees on $1 million investment. Purchase a property that costs no more than 25% of your take-home salary. It is critical to be conservative while purchasing a home. Most people will agree that spending more than your budget can comfortably handle is a bad idea. Housing is the most expensive expense for the average household, so if you're going to be thrifty anywhere, this is the place to start. Dave Ramsey suggests putting down at least 10% to 20% on a home and only taking out a 15-year mortgage. It won't take 3 decades to own it free and clear, so keep your payments, which include principal and interest taxes, to a minimum. Insurance in an HOA charge if you have it to 25% of your take-home pay or after-tax income, assuming an income tax. The median household income in the United States in 2021 will be around $71,000, which equates to a monthly take-home pay of around $5,000. This provides for a house payment of no more than $1,250 with a 20% down payment at today's interest rates and average property-free taxes and insurance. This amounts to a substantially lower buying price of around $140,000 compared to the national average property price of around $350,000. Dave Ramsey provides some fantastic money advice for the general public that has helped numerous people take control of their finances by not overspending, getting out of debt, and investing. Not everyone agrees with everything Dave Ramsey says, and some of his ideas may be controversial. You don't need to adore every bit of his counsel to profit. Simply take the pieces of guidance that work best for you. The concept of becoming a millionaire by the age of 30 has gained popularity as a typical aim in modern society. The allure of wealth, celebrity, and the promise of a secure future has driven many young adults to embark on a journey to achieve financial independence at a young age. However, the idea of accumulating $1 million or more by a certain age is, in many ways, an unreasonable aim that is doomed to failure. While achieving millionaire status in your 30s or 40s would be a fantastic accomplishment, don't dismiss yourself if you miss those deadlines. The imperative to become a millionaire by 30 is based on false assumptions. It places significant responsibility on young people to amass considerable wealth in a short period. Many individuals in their 20s have yet to establish a career path. The pressure to become a millionaire by 30 is akin to carrying a massive burden. It presupposes the need to make a lot of money swiftly, which isn't easy. Health concerns, family issues, and unexpected life events can completely derail your financial plans. Life is unpredictably unpredictable, occasionally throwing unexpected curveballs. So if you're set on being a millionaire by 30, it can be tough to accept not reaching that goal when you're approaching your 30s. Imagine yourself in your late 20s, checking your bank account, realizing you're far from $1 million. That's when the pressure becomes overwhelming. You start feeling inadequate, as if everyone else is winning the money game while you're on the sidelines. But let's face it, most people never become millionaires, let alone by 30. Even if your progress is gradual and steady, you're still doing better than many others. While aiming to be a millionaire is admirable, it's equally essential to develop other skills along the way. Consider it a journey rather than a race against time. There are numerous paths to success, and not all involve becoming a millionaire in your 20s. Success is subjective and varies significantly from person to person. While some define success by wealth and possessions, others value personal growth, nurturing relationships, or contributing to society. For some, success involves personal growth, striving to become the best version of themselves, acquiring wisdom and experience rather than wealth. Then there are those who believe success lies in building connections and fostering relationships. They thrive on nurturing connections, strengthening family ties, and making a positive impact by volunteering. To them, success is defined by the people they encounter, and let's not forget those who find fulfillment in making a constructive difference in society. Their success is about contributing, whether through volunteering, teaching, or creating things that enhance the world. For them, success is about giving back rather than material possessions. Money and luxury cars are nice, but they're just a fragment of the success puzzle. It's crucial to remember that financial prosperity is only one facet of a fulfilling life, and many find joy and purpose in non-material achievements. While pursuing financial success is important, establishing a strong foundation in money management, prudent investing, and sound financial decisions goes beyond amassing wealth quickly. It's about attaining financial security. When people prioritize financial literacy, they gain the tools to make informed decisions about budgeting, saving, and investing, among other crucial areas. Budgeting, for instance, is an essential skill that allows individuals to manage income carefully, meeting basic needs while saving for future aspirations. Those lacking this skill may struggle to maintain financial stability, leading to stress and instability. Making informed financial decisions is another aspect of financial literacy. This involves understanding financial options, comprehending loan implications, and planning for retirement. Without this knowledge, individuals might make poor financial choices, accumulating high-interest debt or failing to save adequately for the future. In the pursuit of achieving a certain income by a specific age, one might overlook these crucial life skills. Prioritizing income over learning to manage and create long-term wealth can be detrimental. Consider Dave Ramsey's history. He swiftly amassed wealth, but due to a lack of financial literacy, lost it as quickly as he gained it. A high income may be beneficial, but poor financial management can lead to unexpected setbacks, leaving you in a precarious financial position. Striking a balance between financial success and financial awareness is crucial. Instead of solely focusing on the destination, investing time in developing the knowledge and skills to efficiently manage wealth is beneficial. Finding the right balance isn't merely a nice notion. It's the key to a fulfilling life. Sometimes we get swept up in pursuing a single concept, money. It's akin to chasing a mythical pot of gold in hopes of finding everlasting joy. However, reality often differs. Some of the wealthiest individuals in the world prove that money, while valuable, isn't a guarantee of happiness. Imagine possessing immense wealth yet feeling as though something is missing, wandering through a vast desert without an oasis in sight. Happiness is a layered cake, and financial success is just one slice. On one side, there are those who live for the present, embracing the moment with no regard for the future. They live by the carpe diem motto. Yet this sometimes results in regret and the end of life's celebration. On the flip side, there are workaholics, people consumed by earning money, hoarding every penny for a rainy day. They seem in a race against time, missing life's richness along the way. Their journey becomes a frantic sprint, leaving them breathless as they chase the elusive dollar. It's vital to acknowledge that numerous career choices can lead to success and contentment. A traditional job can provide as much happiness and fulfillment as any other professional pursuit. Furthermore, your 9-to-5 job can serve as a launchpad for creating the life you desire. Consider it a valuable stepping stone toward your aspirations rather than just a means to an end. It offers stability and income, allowing you to pursue passions, personal growth, and work steadily towards your goals beyond office hours. Whether it's saving for a dream trip, starting a business, or gaining financial stability to explore other interests, a 9-to-5 job equips you with the structure to shape the life you envision, one step at a time. While the idea of becoming a millionaire by 30 might be enticing, it's crucial to recognize its limitations. Personal values, circumstances, and aspirations should define success. Prioritize enhancing financial literacy, nurturing passions, and adopting a holistic approach to life over succumbing to societal pressures. By doing so, individuals can forge a path to success and happiness that transcends age and financial constraints. Take each day as it comes, focusing on incremental progress across all aspects of life. What would your life be like if you were able to pay off all of your debts and start investing in your future wealth? If you're tired of wasting money on old student loans, credit cards, huge car payments, and mortgages, it could be worth taking some extra efforts to get out of debt. Many people are terrified and burdened by their bills, but paying down those balances may be easier than you think. Thousands of people have benefited from Dave Ramsey's baby steps, which have provided them with guidance when they are unsure what to do about their mountain of debt. It's pointless to be afraid, so instead, study Dave Ramsey's tried-and-true strategy for achieving your financial goals. Our culture encourages us to be excessive consumers by heavily marketing throwaway things and the latest fashions to us. But do we really need the things we frequently buy on credit? A little foresight can go a long way toward improving our financial situation. Begin an emergency fund by saving $1,000 as soon as possible. Many people believe this is a difficult endeavor, but it is the beginning of your journey to financial freedom. Pose one question to yourself. Is there anything I can give up, any habit or everyday expense that I can forego? Everyone has what Dave refers to as a lat effect. It could be your morning cup of coffee on the way to work or a frequent lunch buy. Most people have something they can give up to begin the process of constructing a safety net. Simply becoming conscious of seemingly trivial expenditures will allow you to save that money instead. Perhaps it's a lottery ticket, a snack from the office vending machine, a Coke, or, worse, a cigarette habit. Giving this some attention can result in significant savings. Is there a practical option for raising your income if you cannot make any sacrifices to your budget? Perhaps work some extra hours, take on another job for a few hours every week, or earn some extra money in another way. Baby step 2. Once you've saved a tiny amount of money, it's time to use the debt snowball to pay off your debt. Begin by listing all of your debts in order of importance. Beginning with the smallest level of debt, start paying it off right away by making extra payments that will be applied directly to the principal. It could be a credit card balance, a clothing store due, or a minor auto loan. By sending extra funds to a specific debt, the payments will lower that balance more quickly because the extra funds will be allocated to the principal. Begin with the smallest debt balance, pay it off, and then move on to the next smallest on the list. Make minimum payments on all debts except the one you're working on. When you've paid off one loan, move on to the next phase. This stage can take a long time depending on the amount of debt you have, but the good news is that the process tends to speed up owing to the snowball effect. As you lose the unpleasant baggage of debt, you'll quickly begin to feel in control of your own life. Baby step 3. Now that you've saved your $1,000 and paid off all of your debts, It's time to start saving for an emergency fund. Take the money you were putting towards debt and put it aside for 3 to 6 months' expenses. This includes funds for unanticipated expenses, which could be due to a personal injury, assisting a family member, an unexpected car repair, or a sudden layoff. 3 months of spending is the bare minimum, and if you're self-employed or rely on commissions for income, it's a good idea to set aside 6 months for any significant unforeseen bills during late bull markets if the economy becomes fragile. It's a good idea to keep the 6-month period in mind just in case. This may appear to be a large sum of money, and it is. You want to have enough money to meet any emergency without going into debt. Baby step 4, it's time to think about retirement. Even if you believe you are too young to retire, you don't want to be one of those people who starts planning for retirement 2 or 3 years before they are ready. Dave Ramsey suggests that you and your spouse invest 15% of your gross income each month in a tax-advantaged account, such as a 401k or an IRA. For example, if you make an average of $59,000 per year, you will need to invest $739 every month at a 10% rate of return. Starting at the age of 24, you'd have more than $1 million by the age of 50. Some may find this tedious, but it will be wonderful when your investment gains outstrip your salary. Don't be concerned if the market fluctuates and your accounts lose value. This is entirely natural. Instead, keep investing and appreciate the fact that you can now buy lower-cost investments. Baby step 5, you've paid off all of your debts, saved the mortgage, and have begun saving for retirement. It's time to start saving for your children's college education. Education is vital, but how we pay for it is critical to ensuring that your children are not saddled with debt when they begin their careers. It's not too late if your children are already in high school. You just need to be more focused. Consider a 529 college savings plan or an ESA education savings account if your children are still young. These are specifically created for college savings and will provide you with a tax credit. The savings saved aside for them now will give them a leg up when they graduate debt-free and can start developing their own fortune. However, don't get ahead of yourself and skip this step before finishing the others. Instead, you could assist your children in exploring lower-cost alternatives such as community college. Baby step 6. There's only one thing standing between you and debt freedom. Pay off your mortgage. After you've fully filled your retirement and college accounts, this will most likely be your highest debt, so don't be surprised if it takes some time. Because mortgage payments are largely interest for a long time, the increased principal payments you'll be making will have a significant influence on your balance. With all of your smaller bills already paid off and all of that extra money available to pay down your mortgage, you'll have the wind at your back. Making extra mortgage payments will be easy once the automobiles, credit cards, and college loans are paid off. It's been claimed that after your mortgage is paid off, the grass in your yard feels different. Consider your lawn when it is free and clear. When you have paid off your mortgage, you will have a lot more money to put into investments and donate to your favorite charity. Baby step 7, you have finally paid off all of your debts. You can now live and contribute like no other. You've reached the most fun and exciting stage, as Dave would say, because you're no longer sending interest payments to the bank. It's now time to concentrate on building extraordinary wealth by allocating extra income toward your retirement and investment accounts, so you can start generating more interest for yourself. Increase your 401k and IRA contributions so you can continue to live like no one else in your retirement years without relying on Social Security or working income. If you want to buy rental property without acquiring a mortgage, you can do so by paying cash. You can even begin to be really giving by contributing a portion of your earnings to a charity or church. Consider the legacy you'll be able to leave to your children or charity if you speed your wealth building in the coming years. When you have a debt-free mindset, it is much easier to save more and spend less. It's no fun or essential to be incredibly cheap and thrifty. Simply live on less than you earn so you may save a chunk for your future and spend cash for things like holidays and new automobiles. It is freeing to take charge of your financial destiny by paying off bothersome debts and starting to earn compound interest. Instead of the credit card business benefiting from your reckless spending, you have control over your future. When you initially start taking small steps, it may feel like you're a lifetime away from reaching your goals. It may take some time to get from $100,000 or more in debt to financial freedom, but the progress you'll be making will no doubt begin to motivate and keep you motivated. Not to mention that as you improve, things speed up and become easier. If you're feeling stuck by a mountain of debt, start by making these small steps. Your future self will be grateful. If you've ever felt financially insecure or like you don't have enough money at the end of the month, take a close look at this car. It may appear insignificant in comparison to your overall spending, but the reality is that it could be robbing you of a comfortable financial situation. Everyone loves a shiny new car with all the modern features. There's nothing else quite like it that really shows you're doing well financially. Inexpensive car is a sign of wealth and success. At least that's what some people think. In reality, most people driving nice cars are in debt and have no idea what they're doing. With the average new car payment of $716 per month and the average used car payment of $526 per month according to bank rates, this is not suitable for the average budget. That car payment is so large that it's painful to make that payment every month. There's nothing left over to save for a rainy day, enjoy a meal out, or invest in a home, all of which could be done if there were no car payment. Instead of keeping their transportation expenses to a very low percentage of their income, some people feel the need to spend as much as their income can handle on a vehicle, which sometimes means cutting back in other areas to make up for it. If you have $1,000 in your budget, that could be spent on something else. It would be a better choice to set aside $200, $300, or $400 per month for a car, and save the rest for something that doesn't sit parked in your driveway for the majority of the time. Consider it: if you drive your car for 1 hour every day, that means it's parked 96% of the time. That's a pricey lawn ornament. If you're like most people, you're financing a car rather than paying cash because you can't afford to buy it outright, but this isn't free. There's a big cost to this. Your credit score, income, and other factors will ultimately determine your interest rate for a car loan, which has a significant impact on the overall cost of car ownership. According to NerdWallet, the average interest rate on a new car loan is around 6%, while the average interest rate on a used car loan is around 10%. If you borrow $35,000 on a used automobile for 60 months at a 10% interest rate, by the time the loan is paid off, you will have spent around $9,600 in interest alone. This isn't the end of the world when you consider opportunity cost, but when you do this again, it adds up. Even if you have good credit, you're still wasting thousands of dollars away from the bank in this situation. Often, there is no end in sight to the behavior. Borrowing money to buy a car can be expensive in terms of interest, but the actual issue is that you're borrowing money to buy something whose value decreases or depreciates. Some people utilize leverage to generate exponential financial returns, while others use leverage to acquire things that deteriorate in value. For example, the more you spend on a car, the more the car will depreciate throughout the time you keep it. Some cars hold their value better than others. But let's use an example. If a new car costs $50,000, according to Kelley Blue Book, it will only be worth $25,000 in 3 years, implying that the car depreciates nearly $700 per month if it loses 40% of its value. You've still lost $20,000 or $555 per month to depreciation in most states. There is a sales tax that you must pay when you buy a car, further adding to the cost. Your state charges 5% sales tax on cars that $50,000. If you trade in a vehicle, you may receive a tax credit, but it is still an outlay that would be minor on a cheaper car. Furthermore, insurance costs are nearly always higher for newer automobiles, even if they have additional safety features. The worth of the automobile influences the cost that the insurance company will have to pay to repair or replace the car if it is damaged. The more valuable the car, the more it will cost to replace it. You must accept that you will always have a car payment in some form or another. Unless you rely on public transportation, the madness of the car market in recent years, when used car prices have skyrocketed. Unless you're buying collections automobiles as an investment, ROEs shouldn't be considered the norm. There are always expenses associated with autos. Even if you own a car outright, there is a cost associated with it that you may not be aware of, monthly payments, but the automobile is still losing value on a regular basis. Additionally, even if it does not break down, the tires, brakes, and suspension are all wearing out virtually every time you drive it, and this comes at a cost. Ownership costs are not eliminated. Discuss the possibility of purchasing a used car to save money. Consider purchasing an automobile that has already lost a significant amount of its value due to depreciation, but still has several years of life left in it before it becomes more hassle than it's worth due to interest depreciation. You have high insurance and taxes on a brand new car. A good used car will save you money and all of those things, but you're likely to have increased maintenance costs because the components are older and will need to be maintained. If the increased maintenance costs combined with lower amounts of depreciation, lower insurance premiums, and less taxes come out to $400 per month, so you're still saving $600 per month if you invest the money you saved by not buying an expensive newer car every few years. You'd be surprised how much you accumulate over time by purchasing a reliable used car instead of something pricey. If that $600 were invested in the S&P 500, earning an average return of 10% per year, you have nearly $1.4 million over the course of a 40-year career. This is after adjusting for a 3% inflation rate, and it increases contributions with inflation. That 40-year is a long time, and there are many variables in this example, but compare it to the alternative of throwing an extra $600 per month away for the sake of having a nice car. You can also invest this money in other ways, such as taking your family on vacations to foreign countries, or by paying down your mortgage to live a debt-free lifestyle for individuals who appreciate driving luxury cars. If you only buy new cars every few years, it may be worth the financial sacrifice, but most people will see it as a complete waste of money when they assess it objectively. To look rich, or because that's just what everyone does and you have to have the latest and greatest, you might want to reconsider your priorities and ask yourself why you care about looking rich at all. People appear wealthy, but if you look closely, you'll notice that the majority of them are drowning in auto bills. Do you truly want to make other life sacrifices for a car? For many people, $1 million was considered the pinnacle of fortune. You'd be considered wealthy at that moment. Millionaires live in luxurious homes, drive expensive automobiles, and are either well-paid executives or successful business owners, right? This may have been true 40, 50, or 60 years ago, but $1 million no longer has the purchasing power that it once did. Most people are astonished to learn that becoming a millionaire does not automatically imply being wealthy or financially independent. It appears to be a lot of money, but how much cash flow does $1 million invested produce? Will it give a sufficient income for retirement? Consider what kind of lifestyle you could expect with $1 million and whether it will be as opulent as it is frequently portrayed. It's simple to look at a portfolio's yearly results and conclude that it's safe to remove those profits for spending throughout retirement. If $1 million in investments gains 12% or $120,000 in 1 year, you might just withdraw the money and spend it right away. If the portfolio returns 8% over the next year, you'll receive $80,000 from the initial investment. This could work, but the difficulty is that stock market returns vary considerably from year to year. For example, the S&P 500 returned a dismal 6% in 2018, resulting in a $60,000 loss. That won't leave much room for purchasing. The S&P 500 returned over 29% in 2019, making it a rewarding year for investors. However, there is always the risk of years of stasis. Aside from the fact that market returns fluctuate greatly from year to year, the primary issue with thinking it's safe to remove the entirety of your yearly earnings is that it ignores inflation. Inflation will decrease the value of $1 million over time. Given that the S&P 500's average annual return is 10%, estimate that your first year in retirement will net you $100,000. That's a reasonable sum for the first year. Fast forward 30 years, and that $1 million has lost the majority of its value, despite the fact that it is still nominally worth $1 million and yields an average of $100,000 in gains every year. That doesn't have nearly as much purchasing power as it formerly did. Assuming a 3% annual inflation rate, the purchasing power of that money would be diminished in half in just 24 years. There are several viewpoints on how much money you should withdraw from your investments each year. In theory, you could remove your profits, but that strategy is not sustainable for the reasons stated. Due to market instability, some people propose merely withdrawing 3% per year. Others argue that 5% is safe because there hasn't been a sustained fair market in a long time. As a general rule, 4% should be regarded as a safe withdrawal rate. This is not to be confused with the portfolio's overall returns, as this is only the withdrawal rate. This implies you can remove 4% of your portfolio during your first year of retirement, with inflation adjustments every year after that. You would withdraw $40,000 in the first year. If the cost of living increases by 3% that year, you could withdraw $41,200 the following year, and so on for the next 30 years, with a near 0% probability of running out of money. The 4% rule is based on a number of criteria. To begin, it is calculated for someone whose portfolio is 50% equities and 50% bonds, which is pretty cautious. Dave Ramsey, one of the most conservative investors, advises clients to invest only in growth stock funds, with no bond allocation. He claims that bonds are potentially as hazardous as stocks while providing far lower returns. Everyone has various portfolio composition preferences, but it is advised that as you age, you have more exposure to bonds and less exposure to equities. The greater your stock allocation, the greater your average return and risk. Second, this 4% withdrawal rate is calculated for a 30-year retirement. That is, if you want to retire in your 30s or 40s, 4% may be too excessive, and the money may run out in the future. If you plan on retiring for 30 years, you will almost certainly never run out of money using this strategy. The issue with establishing a 30-year withdrawal time is that no one knows how long they will live. If you knew exactly when you'd die, you'd be able to budget each dollar and know exactly how much you could spend. Some argue that if you want to appreciate your money, you should spend it all, or that you can't take it with you when you die, so you might as well enjoy it while you're still living. That's a terrific idea, but the difficulty is that you don't know how long you'll live, which is why you need to be careful with your spending. According to the Social Security Administration, the average remaining life expectancy of a 65-year-old is fewer than 30 years. However, this is only an average, and investors should budget for a long retirement. You don't want to trim it too close and go bankrupt. The risk of running out of money must be managed carefully. You should evaluate your health and genetics to determine how long you expect to live. If you are already retired or above the age of 65, your planning horizon may differ from the standard 30 years. It's vital to remember that average life expectancy has increased by around 5% in the last 30 years. If you intend to be retired for more than 30 years, 4% may be too much to remove. The amount of your Social Security payment depends on your retirement age, how long you contributed to the program, and your taxable income over the years. Someone who begins receiving benefits at the age of 62 will receive significantly less money per month than someone who retires at the ages of 65, 67, or 70. The average Social Security benefit per person is around $8,000 per year. When you combine it with your 4% withdrawal from your portfolio, you get $58,000 per year in income. If you're married, your Social Security payment is doubled, bringing your total annual income to $76,000. Given the average household income in the United States is $68,000, that is a reasonable sum for many retirees. Taxes will range greatly depending on who you are. The amount you owe is mostly determined by the type of retirement account you use. Distributions from a regular IRA or 401(k) are typically taxed at ordinary income rates. With a Roth IRA, The taxes have already been paid at the time of contribution. Thus, distributions will be tax-free. However, because many people have many accounts, such as a brokerage account, 401k, IRA, and Roth IRA, it is difficult to compute taxes precisely. It will also depend on whether you live in a state with an income tax, your filing status, and of course your income bracket. To estimate your tax liability, evaluate the sort of accounts you have and your estimated tax bracket, and call a CPA for assistance. In general, a $1 million portfolio comprised of 50% equities and 50% bonds will generate $40,000 in your income. The safe withdrawal rate varies depending on the makeup of your portfolio, the number of years you want to retire, and a number of other considerations. When you factor in the typical Social Security payout of $8,000 per year, your total annual income is $58,000 for a person and $76,000 for a couple before taxes. Use this as a starting point and make adjustments to account for the many variables that each person will have. Remember that withdrawing a portfolio's full gains is unsustainable because inflation will inevitably diminish the underlying worth of $1 million. Because of the uncertainties, it's a good idea to be conservative when predicting your finances during retirement. Most regular people are shocked to learn that millionaires do not spend freely or appear wealthy at all. In fact, most of the time, they are the most frugal people you will ever meet, practically afraid of spending money. Chances are your perception of a millionaire is completely incorrect. These fascinating facts about millionaires are going to inspire you by demonstrating how getting rich is possible for almost anyone. You're going to want to pay close attention because this video practically outlines exactly how millionaires became wealthy. Contrary to popular belief, most millionaires did not become so by earning an amazing income. Rather, they did it by earning a comfortable, stable salary. A large salary is favorable to wealth creation, but it is only a minor part of the equation. Income alone will not make you a millionaire unless it is supplemented with other crucial behaviors. As you can see, the 5 most popular vocations for millionaires are engineering, accounting, teaching, management, and law. Most of these positions pay very well, but they aren't the extremely profitable careers that people imagine millionaires have. In fact, Ramsey Solutions discovered that millionaires have a lower rate of success than the general public. Only 31% of millionaires average $100,000 per year over the course of their careers, and 1/3 never made more than $60,000 in any single year. A 401k can be a great wealth-building tool for those who are offered one by their employer, and those who have the mentality of a millionaire understand the importance. Capitalizing on this opportunity, most employers will match a certain amount of employee contributions, enticing people to save for retirement. The match that your employer throws in is certainly an added bonus, but the real reason 401k has helped so many people get rich is the ease with which employees can access these plans. They are widely available, offer a simple range of investing options, and the money is taken directly from your salary, so it never reaches your bank account. Furthermore, 3 out of every 4 billionaires invest outside of their 401k in individual retirement accounts and other similar options. Millionaires have learned to balance risk and return. When it comes to investing, they understand the significance of making sound judgments. Ramsey Solutions discovered that none of the 10,000 millionaires studied said that single stock investing was a major factor in their success. The reality is that while stocks have incredible potential, they're extremely difficult to choose. Instead of putting their money into speculative investments, they invest it in something that has a proven track record of success, such as index funds and mutual funds. Contrast this with someone who is just starting their wealth-building journey. The beginner is looking for the next golden opportunity that will make them a millionaire overnight. This enthusiasm and optimism are admirable, but wealthy people understand that it rarely materializes. It is better to be safe than sorry. Investing regularly is possibly the single easiest thing a person can do to get rich. You don't have to earn a lot of money to invest. High investment returns become wealthy. 3 out of every 4 millionaires stated they're literally telling people how they got rich by dollar cost averaging into a broad market fund, such as the S&P 500, earning a 10% annual return on your money. It will double every 7 years on average, which implies that if you invest for a long time, even a few $100s per month will be enough to make you a millionaire. Millionaires are astute individuals who grasp the issue of perpetual credit card debt. Ramsey Solutions discovered that 75% of them have never carried a credit card balance in their life, which means they either don't use credit cards at all or pay their balance in full every month. The other 25 may have carried a balance at one time, but realized what a major drain it was on their wallet. And no financially savvy person will pay an interest rate of 15% to 20 to 25 or more because it entirely offsets any money they generate from their investments. 9 out of 10 billionaires claim to have amassed riches through avoiding debt and therefore freeing up income for investments. Rich people may use credit cards for cashback rewards and other benefits, but they do not pay interest. According to a study conducted by Experian Automotive, 61 wealthy people with a household income of $250,000 or more drive Hondas, Toyotas, and Fords. These individuals could afford to drive more expensive brands such as Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Lexus, and others, but more often than not, they do not. They prefer lower-cost alternatives more often than not. According to Ramsey Solutions, the average billionaire drives a 4-year-old automobile with approximately 40,000 kilometers. And the greatest thing is that it is owned outright with no payments to the bank. Consider that the typical new car payment is around $700, and you can clearly see how these people are able to invest consistently. Millionaires recognize that overpaying on a car is one of the worst decisions you can make, mostly because they depreciate dramatically. Real estate is well considered to be a fantastic investment in many ways. Therefore, it stands to reason that 90% of millionaires invest in real estate in some form or another. Another statistic from the Federal Reserve is that the net worth of a homeowner is 40 times more than that of a renter. The average homeowner has a net worth of around $250,000 versus only $6,000 for a renter. Other factors, such as differing finances, are most likely contributing to the significant variance. But owning a home does wonders for your net worth. Home prices rise over time, so the amount of equity homeowners gain over time is enormous. Most people buy a home with a mortgage, so they can realize the investment gain of the property with just a small down payment, and their mortgage balance is low. Reduced over the years. Further, their housing expenses remain the same for the most part, with no landlord constantly raising their rent, subsequently eating up the majority of their paycheck. The average millionaire is 57 years old. This is because becoming a millionaire requires consistent, smart financial decisions, hard work, and wise investments. Interest plays a large role in assisting those who cross the millionaire threshold, and it takes a long time to realize the more money you have and the longer you're able to earn, save, and invest, the easier it is to become wealthy. It takes time for young people to get their investments off the ground and earn big sums of compound interest, which is why long-term vision is so important. There are some young millionaires nowadays, but they are the exception. There are more millionaires than you would believe. Chances are you've met a couple of them. There are over 22 million millionaires in the United States alone, according to Zibia, which equates to 8.8% of adults. Nearly 10% of the adults you meet in the shop, at a restaurant, pumping gas, or stuck in traffic have assets with a net value of more than $100,000. Over $1 million. Would you have thought that nearly 1 in every 10 adults you see on the street is a millionaire having a net worth of $1 million or more? Isn't that uncommon at all? Achieving millionaire status isn't some far-fetched goal that is difficult to achieve, and this goes to show you how achievable it is. Let's be honest. Clearly, being a millionaire doesn't mean as much as it used to, but it's still a significant achievement that sets you up for success. The good news is that once you're a millionaire, it's incredibly easy to grow exponentially wealthier. Millionaires come from all walks of life, and with a little bit of knowledge. As we conclude, I'd like to thank you for watching. I hope you found value in this video and learned something new, and I look forward to seeing you in our future videos. I would deeply value it if you could like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support will help us to create more valuable content, and we can work together to secure your financial future. What are the key takeaways from this video that you can share in the comment section?